Just last week, I spent a considerable amount of time discussing Marjorie Taylor Greene, that MAGA was dead. And a lot of people are coming back today and telling me, Jason, you called it yet again. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not going to fully commit to that at this point. I am not going to fully commit to that I've called it just yet. But just last week, I was telling you all that, yeah, to me, Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared to be distancing herself from Trump because she thinks there's more hay to be made politically by branching out on her own and preparing for the post-Trump era. And specifically, I said that Marjorie Taylor Greene is most likely positioning herself to run for governor of Georgia. Now, I didn't think she was going to run for president, but that most likely running for governor of Georgia. Well, now that the news has come down in the last 24 hours that Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she is going to resign effective January 5th, that she's going to resign right after she gets fully vested for her for the congressional pension, although it's not going to be that much, relatively speaking, though she will get it when she turns 62 or so. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and take you all to Twitter so that you can see the statement that she made. If you're not familiar with it, if you were not aware of any of these things, here's what she had to say.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Continue to be swallowed by big corporations.
So, yeah, a woman who took part in enabling it. Let's never forget that. She took part in enabling it, but now she wants to position herself on the opposite of it. So, may not make for good truth-telling, but certainly makes for good politics.
Hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average
She's approved of the congressional budgets and everything, so there's that.
American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies because I believe God creates life at conception and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity.
Strong, safe borders. We'll come back to that.
And mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas, just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years, they actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much, their rent has increasingly gone up and up, they have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house, they have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement.
I'm just curious, what is Representative Greene offered as far as like the housing situation? I mean, I would love to see the bills that she's offered. I would love to see that. I wasn't aware she'd offered anything. Certainly has not made a big issue of it. But after all, she owns a construction company, remember? She never gets tired of reminding you of that. After all, she owns a construction company, so this is all actually only for her. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that, by the way, if she really was concerned about that, that would be something different. If she really were concerned about it. Marjorie Taylor Greene just a few weeks ago was saying that, well, she needs the illegals for her construction company, So, yes, she's very concerned about that, isn't she? Very concerned about it. I'm just saying.
And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding.
She has a problem with foreigners doing Americans' jobs unless they are illegals working for her construction company. I'm pretty sure those she doesn't have an issue with. But if you want to go to work for Elon, that's a problem. But if you want to go to work for her, everything's cool.
The release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party. I never changed or went back on my campaign promises, and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged.
That sounds like such a Oprah line right there. So that is such Barbie girl babble right there. That's such an Oprah line. I'm being attacked, but my heart is filled with joy. Who is the feminist consultant who hands out these kind of lines? I don't know.
Because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence.
There she goes attacking quote-unquote men again. So, oh boy, if she doesn't run for office again, she has lost a lot of good throwaway lines here.
Fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for.
Oh. Well, so there's that. So in other words, Trump has let her know that that primary threat isn't just a threat. And the Republicans in Georgia must have made it clear that the primary threat's not just a threat. So very clearly she's articulating that they've let her know that they intend to primary her. So that explains a lot.
District as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife.
Okay. Tens of millions of dollars. I do not believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene, that Trump would organize or could organize tens of millions of dollars. I do believe, however, that AIPAC could. Just ask Jamal Bowman. But I don't think that Trump could do that, but I do definitely believe that AIPAC could do that. So I think somebody must have flown her a kite that she was public enemy number one. So I think definitely she got the word and she's taking it seriously.
By the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
So there you have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene has let you know that because of the constant harassment and threats that she received, not from the Democrats, from her own party, from the MAGA movement that she was so gung-ho for and so instrumental in promoting, it was her own who did it. You go on Twitter right now, from Laura Loomer to Randy Fine. These are her comrades in arms now who are cheering and congratulating. I told you all this while the old dead black media rolling the bowling ball, while all these clowns in the old dead black media were telling you all it was the end of the world. I told you all then, and I never wavered. If white supremacy were ever empowered, if they ever got exactly what they wanted, they would go to attacking each other. I never got worried. I never wavered on it. I've been here for years telling you all the same thing, and you see it came down exactly the way I told you. When they were actually empowered because their entire ideology requires a potent fuel of hate. When they passed by us, they didn't stop fighting. They just started fighting with each other. And that's exactly what it was. So now Marjorie Taylor Greene is signaling that she's going to retire. Whether or not she follows through on that, I'm not 100% certain. We will see, but that is what she's saying there. We'll see how time goes. We'll see how it goes in the meantime here. Over on Jasmine Crockett's Twitter page, she wanted to weigh in because, of course, she's doing important things. And listen to what she says here, by the way, because she's worried about the important things. I'm going to be honest. I didn't see this coming, but the threats that come with being on the opposite side of Trump are real. People need to wake up. Trump only knows how to use people up and then cast them aside when he's done. Can't argue with that. He did it to his VP. He's done it to those that wanted the Epstein files. He did it to those that believed he cared about their struggles. And now he's doing it to one of his most loyal followers, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Going forward, no one, elected or otherwise, should allow any person to coax them into creating a culture of violence. Marjorie Taylor Greene referenced not wanting to be a battered woman. I'll say this, my granny used to say, don't play with fire because you just might get burned. I'm still waiting for Republicans to stand firmly against the president's death wishes on sitting members of the House and Senate. My final word on this is that my office has reached out to Marjorie Taylor Greene to work on some member safety legislation.
Nigga, what?
That's right, folks. Not a black hate crime bill. Not anti-black hate crime legislation. No, not that. Not black safety legislation. No, Jasmine Crockett. No, that's not what she wants to work together. She doesn't work together on that. She's worried about the really important things. Members of Congress who have police and security. Yeah, she's worried about something far more important. Why her and herself and what she doing. Yeah, she doesn't have time to work on that. She doesn't have time to focus on that. I just wanted you all to know, a lot of y'all read that. Did you understand what she said right there? By the way, she's got her eye on the ball. She's got her eye on the ball of what really matters. Don't you know? I'm serious about working collaboratively on this effort. If there is an interest, we can get it drafted before January. Folks, let's talk about Congress for a few moments. It was said to me years ago, and it's still true today, the government is not an organism that protects the people. Government is an organism that protects itself. And that's what government does. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is focused on the important things, of course. She's focused on the important stuff. So is Jasmine Crockett. She's focused on that too. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to receive a pension. She was in Congress soon she'll have been there for 5 years. That's why she wants to wait until after January 5th, because she will have been there for 5 years. And according to federal law, now, you basically get a deferred pension and whatnot. So she doesn't get a full amount of it, but basically, according to Celebrity Net Worth, you're looking at, with her standard pay of $174,000 times 0.017 times 5, that breaks down to $14,790 per year. So she's been there for 5 years, and she won't get it until she's 62. Basically, if she goes through the standard thing, she won't get it until she's 62, but she will get it for the rest of her life. What? All you got to do is make it 5 years, and yeah, you get basically for 5 years. This is the amount that she gets after 5 years for the rest of her life. Nancy Pelosi, Mama Stock Market Pelosi, is going to get $119,000 a year. $119,000 a year. Chuck Grassley will get $154,000 a year. Both of them are in their, she's in her 80s and he's in his 90s, but yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's what she's going to get, $14,000 a year just for 5 years, and she gets that for the rest of her life. Now, while that's certainly not a tremendous amount of money, obviously it mattered to her enough that she wanted to stick around long enough to get that. So obviously she wanted to stick around long enough to get that. Just thought I'd go ahead and throw that in there. That That's what you're really looking at. So when you see Jasmine Crockett, the lawyer from Texas and whatnot, she may have been there long enough to get that too, at least. This is who your so-called elected representatives are looking out for. They're looking out for themselves. They're looking out for themselves. But I'm not all negative about it. Not all negative about it, not completely here, because I think there's levels to this stuff here. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene, did want to let you know that she had her eye on other things. For example, why just yesterday, right before she released her video, she did put the eyeballs emoji on this one, that Mike Huckabee met with Jewish American spy Jonathan Pollard. All these America First people, these alleged America First people, Governor of Arkansas, all these America First people, man, I've been telling y'all forever, all these jingoisms, look it up, all these slogans and cliches and mottos that they toss around, these folk don't give a damn about that, man. That's what they sell to you. When they want to insult you and condemn you and impugn you, then they start yelling slogans. But when you take a look at how they live, they don't mean anything. Back the blue. Okay, we already saw after January 6th. Oh, that was a lie. Yeah, that's something that they say when they think that they can assault you. When they think they can assault you and injure you. Respect the badge, respect the flag, America first. They only pull out these slogans when they think that they can assault you with it. Once you come back to them and say, hey, back the badge. Ashley Babbitt was out of line, back the badge. All of a sudden they say, damn the police, damn the FBI, to hell with them. It's like, wait a minute now. Now, when we said defund the police, they said that's stupid and anti-American. As soon as the police were not doing what they wanted, they talking about defund the police, arrest the police. We don't need them to screw the FBI. Isn't that amazing? But it goes a little bit further there, because you see, when you click on the post, I want to show you what these folks are made of here. So, former Governor Mike Huckabee is making sure that, he doesn't have time for America first. He's too busy taking care of Israel. Okay, well, fine. I guess they put him in the right place. And then you meet this chick here, Anna's Writing Nook. Who are you, Anna? God-fearing conservative writer of many things. Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. Benjamin Franklin. 14,000 followers. And take a look at what she says. This is Miss Conservative now. Miss God-fearing conservative. When told about Governor Huckabee, now Ambassador Huckabee, going to go shake hands with a spy, he met with Huckabee to thank him for advocating for his release after serving 25 years in prison. Nothing nefarious here. Your intentions are nauseating. Keep insinuating everything bad about this administration. You've earned your nickname. People, Jonathan Pollard, after he was released, was mocking and condemning the United States. Jonathan Pollard said that he was not sorry for a thing he did. Don't believe me. Go look it up for yourselves. Jonathan Pollard was not an apologetic prisoner who was released for giving, I think, secrets to the Russians and whatnot. Of course, he was working with Israel, so they were just doing all kinds of things. He was giving secrets to them, and they were giving it to the Russians. Jonathan Pollard did not apologize for anything. As a matter of fact, he's still, to this very day, he will tell you he's proud of what he did. That he didn't do anything wrong, and that he's proud of what he did. He says that today. He's been consistent the whole damn time. So that's what Mike Huckabee would have been advocating for the release for. And here this woman is, blue check mark, and Miss Brandenburg, well, you can see who she's backing. Okay. You see other folks in here. I'd be more concerned if he met with you. Okay. All righty. Just thought we go ahead and take a look at that. Okay. Just saying. By the way, and this chick here, she put up a bunch. She was arguing with folks all through the comments section here. You can't actually believe that. Thank yous can be done over the phone. This was a plotting session by the worst spy the U.S. has ever housed. To which she said, yes, I do believe that. So what was plotted? The worst spy in American history was Robert Philip Hansen. So she's such a conservative that she doesn't care about Israeli spies, Ms. Brandenburg. All right. If Huckabee was advocating for the release of the most notorious Israeli spy, he shouldn't be representing our government. To which she says, our government is as corrupt as any other government in the world, if not the worst. So there you go. Damn! You're defending a foreign spy who should be in prison for life? Wow. I'm not defending a foreign spy. I'm defending Huckabee, which isn't a foreign spy. He was actually sentenced to a more severe sentence than those with similar crimes. That's called injustice. Wow. These are your America First so-called conservatives. They only yank this stuff out when they think they can assault you with it. They only yank this stuff out. They only talk that garbage like that when they think they can use it against you. When they think they can weaponize it against you, then she's going to do a 180. These people do not have principles. They have interests. They have interests, but not principles, people. That's the part you need to understand. They have interests, but not principles. Now, I want to go back to talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene in the context of what we discussed last week, because here's the insight and analysis that you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Because I didn't just say these things out of nowhere, and I didn't just say them for no reason. In case you all are not aware of the current chronology, let me go ahead and show you. It's currently 2025. Next year will be 2026. And in case you are not aware, the governor's race in Georgia is 2026. Damn! So just in case you all were wondering, by the way, when is the governor's race in Georgia? Oh, it's next year. And if she's announcing she's going to resign if the governor's election will be November of 2026, and what do you know? She's announcing that she wants to resign in November of 2025. Well, people, there's some folks out there. By the way, she's not the only one. In case you all were not aware, she is not the only one. Over on Ballotpedia, well, will you take a looky here?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell.
Well, take a look at the Democrat candidates for governor. Why, there's Keisha Lance Bottoms. Oh, your Humpty eyes do not deceive you. You see what it says on your screen? The general election will be November 3rd, 2026. Here are your candidates. At the top of the list is Keisha Bottoms. Oh, in case you didn't know or didn't hear, oh yeah. Yeah, she's letting you know that she's thrown her hat in the ring to run for governor of Georgia. Just in case nobody told you what was happening. Yeah, now all of a sudden it makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? Makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? You know, there has been a picture that I have never forgotten. I have reminded you all about it every chance that I have received. I have reminded you all about this picture on your screen every single time. There's the Jim Crow Joe Biden with Keisha Bottom B. And remember, this is right before she had to drop out. Remember, she didn't even run for re-election as mayor of Atlanta. Word came down from Joe Biden, you got to drop out. You ain't running for a second term. And there she is, looking as submissive as you please. So I always remind you all about this picture right before she announced that she would not be running for re-election as the mayor of Atlanta. Right before that, well, my billboard certainly helped. My billboard certainly helped her in that decision. But I always warned you all that she wanted to be back in politics. So this tells you that her dropping out was not her decision. And I've been consistent that Keisha been looking for a back door back in. Now that Joe Biden is completely out the picture altogether, well, what do you know? What do you know? All of a sudden, dropping in out of nowhere is Keisha Bottoms to let you know that she wants to run for governor in 2026. I guess she figures she looks better than Stacey Abrams, and that should help. So when I say it like that the governor's election in Georgia is next year, and the Democrats right now, the most well-known person they have running is a black female, I wouldn't be surprised if the Republicans decide that the antidote for a black female running, well, they've got their own super spicy candidate. I would not be surprised if a number of people, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, are making that calculus. I think that her chances of becoming governor are absolutely demonstrably better than her chances of becoming president. I think that president or vice president, that's not even in the offing. But I do think that she plays very well in Georgia. I think that plays very well in Georgia. I told you all last week, she is the most well-known politician out of Georgia right now. She's the most well-known politician in Georgia right now. I would even put her ahead of Governor Kemp. I would even put her ahead of him. Name recognition, everybody knows Marjorie Taylor Greene. So she's already won that fight. Now, there are 6 Republicans who have already registered to run for governor. The lieutenant governor, the attorney general. So all the people who would be next in line to Governor Kemp, they've announced they want to run for governor. Yeah, but none of them are as well known as Marjorie. So I think that would create a particular dilemma there. If she wanted to run for governor, she certainly has that option. And that would put her in a better position for 2032. If she ran for governor of Georgia, I think that would put her, if she wanted to run for president, that would put her in a better position for 2032. So I just couldn't help but notice that she could have waited until next month, people. She could have waited until next month to announce that she was going to resign. Why do it now? Oh, it's going to take time for Governor Kemp to choose a replacement anyway. So why do it now? What's the reason for doing that? As I explained last week, the reason for doing that is because Marjorie sees that Trump is getting weak and MAGA is getting weaker. Well, why would she want to be governor instead of being a congressperson? Because as governor, she would have control of Georgia. She would have a level of control in Georgia that she absolutely does not have over Congress. So this would be a promotion for her, really. This would be a promotion. And from there, it would be a whole lot easier if she wanted to run nationally. Furthermore, if she were governor of Georgia, she could start amassing a power base of her own. If she became governor of a state, especially a critical swing state like Georgia, if she became governor of a swing state like Georgia, she could actually begin amassing a power base of her own. Other politicians, for example, let me go ahead and run through the math for y'all right quick. As you know, Georgia is really a must-win state for Republicans if they want to be president. If Marjorie Taylor Greene becomes governor of Georgia, every Republican that wants to become president would have to come to her and bend the knee. Every Republican who wants to become president in 2028, they're going to have to go through Marjorie to get that. Brian Kemp was not a particularly combative governor where Trump was concerned. Trump attacked Kemp and Kemp ignored him, and Kemp is just fine politically. Marjorie Taylor Greene would be a different matter. She's an activist. So if 2028 roll around, Trump doesn't have any more power by that time, and Marjorie would put herself in position to be the queen bee. She could very well end up like that. She would be a lot more relevant and a lot more pertinent as governor than she is as a congresswoman. And all the folk who were messing with her before now, yeah, they'd have to go through her, or at least she can definitely make their lives a whole lot worse in Georgia if she chose to run for governor. If she chose to run for governor. And I thought that that would be the direction she'd be going in, because she's not just taking positions opposing Trump. Her whole demeanor has changed. Her attitude has changed. Her tone has changed. She's not this loud, shrill, profane harpy that she's been for the last 4 years. That's what I pointed out to y'all last week, that her entire demeanor has changed. And I'm like, well, you don't have to do all that, to disagree with Trump. You do have to do that if you want the public to see you differently. Well, why does she need that to get elected or reelected? Doing things the way she was got her elected and reelected. So who is this new audience that she's trying to appeal to? Who's this new audience she wants to appeal to? She's obviously changed her demeanor, her attitude, her tone, her behavior. And you don't have to do that to disagree with Trump. So who are you trying to appeal to? Well, if she was trying to soften her image in order to be more acceptable to people who currently don't like her, moderates and Democrats. But if she starts talking the right way, she could shave off enough of them. She could shave off enough. So right now, I think the odds are particularly in favor that she's gearing up for a run for governor of Georgia, that she's looked at the rest of the field, and she's decided that it would be a lot easier to do that rather than trying to run in Washington, where only thing she can do in Washington is help Trump get his agenda through. But if she runs for governor of Georgia, she can set her own agenda. I think that if she's doing the calculus, yeah, in Washington, you're just part of Trump's machine. In Georgia, you can make your own. In Georgia, you can start gathering your own machine. And if she could pull off a win for governor of Georgia, then the Trump era would officially be over. If Marjorie Taylor Greene could run for governor of Georgia and win, then the Trump era would be officially over. And everyone would be looking beyond him at who's coming up next. So that's the manner in which I see the calculus going. And if she were going to make that move, folks, I'm just saying, if she were going to make that move, she got to do it now. I mean, why would she be leaving so early? Why wouldn't she just go ahead and see her term all the way out? Why is it that she's got to stop at the beginning of 2026? Why is she so determined you got to do it now? If she were going to leave politics, why didn't she just see her term, just say, hey, I'm not running for re-election, and see her term all the way out? Why does she have to announce it now and she got to leave at the beginning of 2026? Why? Why? So I warned you all that MAGA was falling apart. I told you all that Trump doesn't get along with anybody. I said this back in October of last year, November of last year, that they would all be at each other's throats. Everybody who was closest to him, those would be the first ones to get the shank between the ribs. I said this to everyone back then. I never wavered. I never changed. I've stayed consistent. And it's gone exactly the way I said. Everybody who tried to snuggle up with him, he's done put a damn knife in their backs. Loyalty hasn't bought you anything except a longer knife in between your ribs. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene has gotten hers. The only difference now is that some of them are a little more buck and bold about standing up to him. So we'll see how it goes. But I will tell you one thing. This does not bode well for the future. It doesn't bode well for the future because the train has already left the station. Folks, the train has already left the station. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not start the drip, drip, dripping. She just was a major block that fell, but she wasn't the one who started it. The rank and file conservatives are in revolt. The rank and file conservatives are unhappy. Their wallets are thin and their patience is thinner. Trump was given a mandate and a timeline, and they are not thrilled with the results. The Jeffrey Epstein scandal has been particularly irksome and offensive to the rank and file because Jeffrey Epstein represents the ability of rich white men to come walking into anybody's door, grab your daughters and your children, have their way with them however they please, and then dump them back on your front lawn like a bag of garbage. This is particularly offensive to the rank and file. It is a blatant, steaming, oozing, reeking scandal sitting right in front of you. And just like with Richard Nixon, they said that it wasn't the crime, it was the cover-up. In the case of Jeffrey Epstein, that's exactly right. It's not the crime, it's the cover-up. The cover-up now is so bold, so blatant, so overwhelming, covered by so many people. I mean, the Speaker of the House kept Congress from convening just so they could avoid voting on releasing the Epstein files. That is just how pervasive and all-encompassing that is. If this were a small matter, why are you going to such outrageous extremes? That's why people have not let it go. They have not let it go. If this were a small matter, then why was Trump saying that he was running on it when he ran in 2024? If the Epstein files were such a small matter, then why was Trump talking about them all the time in 2024? Now he gets in office and says, ain't no Epstein files. Too late for that, partner. Kash Patel, that's all he was talking about on YouTube. Dan Bongino, the Epstein files were completely relevant and absolutely essential right up until they got to the White House. Now they're telling you it doesn't matter. And this strikes a particularly sour note with the rank and file. They already don't trust the government to begin with. And now you are reinforcing to them everything they didn't like and everything they don't trust. That's the problem. And mixed in there are individuals who see how they can make hay out of it. But they're not the only ones, because there are other folk who are asking questions that I've been talking about for a while. That the Epstein files are not everything. By the way, where'd the money come from? Where'd the money come from and where'd the money go to? Here's Elizabeth Warren. She was talking to Stephen Colbert, and listen to what she had to say.
Committee, what questions do you have for the banks that manage Jeffrey Epstein's money? Because there's so many deposits and transfers that we don't know about.
So I always say, follow the money. And with Jeffrey Epstein, I really mean follow the money. Because here's the deal. JP Morgan Chase, yes, Jamie Dimon, I'm looking at you.
Senator Warren, are you sure you want to go there? I know we've had our differences, Senator Warren, particularly on reparations, but I do have to say, ma'am, are you sure you want to go here with it? You sure you want to start thumbing your nose at the bankers and calling them out by name? Are you sure you want to do that? Because we live in a world where offending the wrong people gets you Charlie Kirked. So I know it might feel good, might feel rebellious to sit up here and, sit up here and shout out to folks like that. But listen to me, people. Listen to me. This ain't no game right here. I know some of y'all, then you hit the bong and you have difficulty separating reality from fiction. People, these folk, they come from the world that don't mention my name. So for some of you that your world, you can't really identify a real world outside of YouTube beefs, you're not helpful because you can't separate fact from fiction. These people come from the world of don't mention my name. The Epstein files are about what? Don't mention the names of who's in it. Don't make us headline news. Don't mention our names. You have a sitting United States senator who isn't just saying Epstein files. She's saying, by the way, I'm talking to you, Jamie Dimon. I'm like, okay. You sure you want to put a spotlight? You sure you want to be the one holding the spotlight? Are you sure you want to do this? Because it might feel good in the moment. I get that, but everybody who digs into Jeffrey Epstein, the mortality rate tends to skyrocket. I don't know, to the folks in the chat room, I don't know who in the hell told you all that these bankers were safe people. I don't know who the hell told y'all they were cream puffs. I don't know where the hell y'all picked that up from. Take a look at the financial crisis 2008. Not a single banker responsible went to prison for it. I don't know where the hell some of y'all people grew up, whether got your information from, or what YouTube channel you're sitting up here hitting the bass pipe while you're watching. I don't know who told you that these bankers were safe people. I don't know who said that to you. I don't know where you picked up that idiocy. You can sit there and talk from behind your damn iPhone 4. What? These guys knock over whole governments. In case nobody told you. These guys knock off whole governments. They're like the Iron Bank from Game of Thrones. They knock over whole governments. They knock off world leaders. They take over whole industries. And if you're a politician who is bad for business, they got something for that too. So I'm just saying, Senator Warren, ma'am, there ain't no way you can play with what you just said. That's not a joke. That's not faking. You putting Jamie Dimon on Front Street? I mean, she's going on Stephen Colbert and calling out Jamie Dimon by name and putting him on Front Street and saying, oh, she's not done yet, by the way. She was just getting started. Let me let y'all hear the rest of what she had to say.
I really mean follow the money. Because here's the deal. JP Morgan Chase, yes, Jamie Dimon, I'm looking at you. I am. You know I am. So, J.P. Morgan Chase is Jeffrey Epstein's bank, a close personal relationship that spans years. I mean, ask yourself, shouldn't this be in the J.P. Morgan Chase advertisements? How long they served Jeffrey Epstein long after his criminal conviction for sexual misconduct with underage girls. And here's the deal. They opened about 134 different accounts for Jeffrey Epstein over these years. They did more than $1 billion in transactions for Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, they had a $50 million line of credit. He literally could walk into the bank and get $50 million from JP Morgan Chase.
Need I remind you all, you know what? Let me go ahead and see if I can take a look at that right quick. Did you all hear that last part that she said right there? Did y'all hear that last part that she says? I want y'all to understand something there. I want to show you something on your screens right quick. So let me get this straight. Jeffrey Epstein could move hundreds of millions of dollars through JP Morgan Chase after he was convicted for child sex assault after that. However, Kanye West. So let me get this straight. Jeffrey Epstein's money was still good at JP Morgan Chase to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, his money was still good. Now that 50 million is just what they admit to. The number was much larger. Remember, we said he was a billionaire. So he could move tens of millions of dollars through Chase Bank that they admit to. Kanye West committed no crime. Kanye West did not commit any type of crime or any type of financial infraction. He didn't commit any crime, and yet JP Morgan closed his damn accounts. Now, Jeffrey Epstein was still good money. He was still good money. But Kanye West was persona non grata. So I just want to take a moment to remind you all about what was really going on and giving you a brief refresher on this. And by the way, yeah, JP Morgan, I suppose if you got, Israeli connections and if you're part of the group, I guess you get a pass. So if you say something against Jewish people, your money is no good at JP Morgan Chase, but I don't know. It's just if you're Jewish, your money is safe here. You JP Morgan, like, we don't give a damn what you do. Drop it in. Come on in. All right.
Had a $50 million line of credit. He literally could walk into the bank and get $50 million from JP Morgan Chase. So what I'd like to do over on the banking committee is I'd like to have Mr. Diamond and some of those other bankers come in and under oath testify about exactly what the financial trail is that kept Jeffrey Epstein afloat for so long.
People. They said that Jeffrey Epstein was a tax advisor. I've got a couple of tax advisors. Ain't none of them getting anywhere near the zip code of the neighborhood of $6 million. You had folk claiming they were paying Jeffrey Epstein $6 million for tax advice. How much are you saving in taxes that you're paying him $6 million? Come on, man. Come on. Year after year. Folks, you do know that there are banking laws since the 80s that if you see strange transactions and whatnot, you're supposed to stop that if you're in the banking system. I've had my banks ask me, I have to fill out questionnaires to the banks myself, and I ain't nowhere near Epstein money. Pause. Damn. By the way, I'm sure some of y'all have too. Some of you who are self-employed, every once in a while, they want you to fill out this questionnaire about your account. Well, we ain't moving nowhere near Epstein money. And yet we got the banks questioning us and quizzing us about our accounts. Jeffrey Epstein is on the damn news getting convicted for getting little girls flued out. And Chase Bank was like, oh, well. I mean, he's on the news. Chase Bank was sending around emails amongst the executives saying this could be a problem. Hey, this Epstein account, he's in kind of legal trouble. Are y'all sure that this is legal, what he doing with this money? And then Jamie Dimon talking about any questions about that, just send that to my office. The rest of you lower on the totem pole, don't y'all worry about that. Just send that to my office. We take care of the Epstein account. That part right there You can't claim the Justice Department has anything. It's classified. This is basic SEC work. This is basic financial work. And this should be the easiest thing. People, the entire monetary system is locked down. They can trace every dollar that comes out of your bank account. They know where it came from. They know who it's going to. And yet when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, not a word, not a peep. See, folks are talking about Epstein and Epstein Island. The real thing is, by the way, what if you find out that there's a number of people, tech people, executives, politicians, throwing Jeffrey Epstein $1 million here and $5 million there? If you follow his money and find out that folk were paying him millions of dollars, all of a sudden, hey, Trump said there wasn't no client list. And yet he had a whole bunch of clients. A whole bunch of folk paying him money. If you look through his bank account, I bet you that's what you're going to find. That there were a lot of folk paying him millions of dollars, and they didn't need no tax work. They didn't need any tax advice. So that's why I'm saying, Senator Warren, ma'am, you're on dangerous ground when you start pointing fingers at the bankers. When you start pointing fingers at the bankers and telling them that you want to bring them on, call them out on the carpet, and you want to start finding out what they know, baby, you can bring down whole banks with this. People, if it comes to light that JP Morgan Chase was collaborating with this, how many, it's been over 140 something years since JP Morgan was alive? You already watched Bear Stearns go down. You already watched Lehman Brothers go down. Could the big fat granddaddy of them all go down? JP Morgan Chase, the bank that built America, that built the Industrial Revolution? You really think Jamie Dimon intends to let this thing crash on his watch? All I'm going to say is be careful, Senator Warren, be careful.
Kept Jeffrey Epstein afloat for so long.
I mean, I know that you've been looking for some consequence for banks since 2008. I have too. This would be a good one.
You know, actually, damn it, it would. And here's why. I'm sick of the folks who are so rich and think they're so insulated that they don't have to follow the rules that everybody else follows. I'm done.
Well,
that's the whole point of getting fabulously, degenerately wealthy. Nobody gets disgustingly, hedonistically wealthy because they want to follow the rules. They get disgustingly, hedonistically wealthy because history has taught us that the disgustingly, outrageously wealthy, there are no rules for them. So if you want to be a person who doesn't have to play by the rules, then just get mind-blowingly rich, and the rules don't really apply to you anymore. All I'm going to say here is this, Senator Warren, in politics, folk got to watch who they call out. Back in the 60s with the Kennedys, you talk too much, you poking your head in the wrong damn areas. Robert Kennedy, you investigating the wrong damn people. Robert Kennedy, who you think you calling to Washington? Who you think you calling up to Washington and asking a bunch of questions in front of folks? You think you trying to get a TV photo op? Okay. So people, I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying, okay, Senator Warren, I wouldn't be surprised if you get a Marjorie Taylor Greene phone call. So, all right, Senator Warren. Okay. Okay. Just keep your eyes and your ears open. However, you might disagree. You just might. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the link to the Zoom here in the chat room. I know we're discussing a lot here tonight. Whole lot I'm stacking the program with here tonight, but I think it's important to go ahead and deal with that. Try to cover as much as I can. Just try to cover as much as I can right now. And the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, like I say, I mean, that's just housekeeping. Talked about this before. Spoke about this before. And if nobody else is going to talk about it, if nobody else is going to address it, then I want to make sure we've covered this correctly. That it is very, very important that we have all the information we need to, and all the information means being ahead of the curve. So nobody else was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and other political aspirations last week. This was the only place that was talking about it. Now, a few, not many. Everybody wants to focus on the scandal. Oh, she wants to step down and stuff. And then it's small potatoes, man. You're not really getting ahead of the curve. You're not really doing that. You're not really doing it. If you want to get ahead of it, tell us where she's going. Tell us where she's going next. So I am not totally convinced just yet that that has happened. What I will tell you is that all the math that I see lining up in front of us, all that math makes it highly favorable that, and very convenient. What she's doing right now is very convenient if a person wanted to run for governor at the height of their popularity and the height of their abilities. If she were going to run for governor, then there's not going to be a better time for her to do it than this moment. There won't be a better time to do it. However, you might disagree. You just might. We're going to go ahead and pin the link to the Zoom there at the top of the chat room for you all. So you are more than welcome to go ahead and dial us up. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to Nancy King. Thank you very much for your support tonight, Nancy. We appreciate that. Shout out to Bayou Billy, Moonrise. My man Black to Death has been giving out some memberships. Thank you very much for that as well. Tom Slick, my man Mr. Rich Bird, Najee, Andrew L. Thank you all very much for your support here as well. Mark B, we got some of y'all up past your bedtime. We appreciate that. We're going to see about taking a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we will take some of your calls and more. This is the Black Channel.
True masculinity isn't about power. It's about presence. Confidence that's natural, grounded, and real. Begin your ritual with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Wash and Conditioner. Infused with the goodness of mangoes and organic botanicals to cleanse deeply, soften, and revive your beard. Follow with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Oil, a powerful blend of natural oils that nourish, strengthen, and add a smooth, confident shine. Complete the look with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard and Body Butter. Pure organic hydration that keeps your skin and beard soft, healthy, and refined.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the gains. Mr. B the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening, as we are discussing the ramifications here of Marjorie Taylor Greene. The MAGA crash out continues, is accelerating. Donald Trump has done more damage in 1 year than we did in a decade here. Folks are already, as I am predicting, that what these people are really doing is positioning themselves for a post-Trump world. And the Epstein vote shows that most Republicans are very eager to usher that era in. They don't want to be bullied by a single individual, because everybody in Congress and the Senate, y'all need to understand something. Every congressperson, every single one, every senator, all 100 of them, every governor, all 50 of them, all 100% of them see themselves as potential presidents. Every single one. All of them see themselves as qualifying to be the leader of the country. So they don't look at Donald Trump as he's uniquely capable. Every single one of them up there is like, hell, I could do that. As a matter of fact, I should be doing it if the American people weren't so dumb. So to have him sitting up here and so flagrantly slapping all of them all over the damn place, they're not okay with that. I mean, there are some feckless, shameless butt kissers who they would love to run for president, but they never can because they tried before and it didn't work out. Looking at you, Lindsey Graham. So Lindsey got to kiss ass because he can't win anything. But some others, especially some of the younger ones or some of the newer people, they're like, yeah, we think the time is ripe for change. And if we can convince the American people that you're not actually real change, and they may go ahead and roll with us. There may be hay to be made if, just like Trump ushered in the post-Obama era, and might be time for a Republican who can usher in the post-Trump era. And he's made so many enemies. At this point, he has made so many enemies that it's not hard to find people who will align with you against him. It's not hard to find that. He's just made so many enemies. So right now, I'm just telling you all with an eye toward the future, and I want to go a little bit deeper into this in a moment. I want to go a little bit deeper into this about what the future holds. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick here. Let me see if I can get Brother Elijah's up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Brother Elijah?
Hey, B1, Jason, to you in the... All right, Jason, I'm not going to take too long, but you echoed every last thought I had, because right after Marjorie Taylor Greene, she kept fighting and stood her ground against MAGA about those Epstein files. Right after the House voted on it, she she resigned right after that. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I think, what you just said, no, she got the word from the top, hey, bitch, it's time for you to go. And everything like that. And you also mentioned at the height of her popularity, I was thinking this too, the Georgia's governor's race is coming up. And this is just my little prediction. Could I be wrong? She might win because Keisha Bottom B has these delusions. She thinks she's going to be the governor down there. And after something like this, I have a feeling Marjorie Taylor Greene might take that. What's your thoughts, big brother?
I mean, right now, name recognition is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And Keisha's been out of the picture now for years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that helps. I think in politics, you got to strike when the iron's hot.
Right.
And I don't think another 2 or 3 years would make Marjorie hotter because now she's sideways with Trump. Although this actually would serve her because now she could be an alternative to Trump.
Right.
You know, the real thing is that she's basically what she's trying to communicate. She has more integrity than he does.
Right.
And
then
for a female, these chicks who always want to talk about they don't like identity politics, how many times has she talked about she's a woman being bullied by a man? She's a woman. She's a woman. So when it's her turn to put herself out there, she has no problem pushing identity politics.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just saying, when you take a look at all the scenarios that it could be, all the possible scenarios, when you put the math together, I just think that right now, the only explanation that checks all the boxes is she's decided to strike out on her own because she thinks she's got a certain gravitas to it. Remember, Trump brought Lauren Boebert into the White House too.
Right.
So he brought her in to press her and say, hey, don't vote for this. So he took that very seriously.
Yes, sir.
He was very, very serious about stopping that Epstein vote. Lauren Boebert, he ain't going at her like he is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, he brought in Lauren Boebert, and she was, I'm going to vote for it too, but he ain't going at her like he is Marjorie Taylor Greene. That tells you that something else happened. And I'm pretty sure it's probably the Israeli donors, probably the Jewish donors are not cool on the fact that Marjorie talked to Tucker Carlson. And, I think she's pushing an America First line because that's what they feel is going to be the successor to MAGA. That it gets the same constituency without having to bow to Trump. And so that putting that together, I think that's the angle she's looking at taking. All things remaining equal, I just think at this point right now, she's decided that's the best tack to take, especially for the future.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the tack to take. So, but certainly the timing, I don't think could be any different.
Yes, sir. I'm going to make this last point and I'm going to land my plane. I promise. I will give this nasty devil BITCH credit for standing up on her conviction, and she didn't let nothing distract. She used her platform to give the voters what they promised them, these Epstein files, and I don't really give a damn about it, but that's what the voters, their voters wanted to see. Cool. But I want to take a quote from you. I wish we had people like that in our damn caucus. Okay, you got these bastards that they call themselves the Congressional Black Caucus, and I want to change their name respectfully to the Congressional Bitch Caucus because they act like a bunch of bitches because they don't want to stand up for nothing for FBA policies and tangibles for us. And I can respect this devil woman because she went to the mat with the king, and we ain't got nobody who would even speak a word on it. And on that note,
you make a very good point.
Yes, sir.
Whether you like her or not, Marjorie Taylor Greene was willing to get sideways with the president in defense of her principles, her constituency. She was willing to do that. You don't have a single black politician anywhere that has ever done that.
Yes, sir.
Jasmine Thought Pocket Crockett has not done that at all.
Yes, sir.
Not at all. We don't even exist until they need a vote.
Right.
So they show up when they want something, but in between they ain't banging nothing.
Right.
Trump got elected and they've been banging the white supremacist drum every day ever since.
Yes, sir.
And we got politicians here who will not even mention us. And it's like, okay, that's the whole reason we let Trump run wild, because it's like, okay, forget that. And in Texas, yes, I'm going to say this, old Jasmine, I am going to say this.
Yes, sir.
Baby, if Texas removes your district, what exactly did we lose again?
Yeah.
Deal with it, nigga.
You want us to
You're
come
right.
and vote for you, and for what? At the very least, your representatives, people outside, separate and apart from legislation, your representatives are supposed to be your spokespeople. They're supposed to be speaking on your issues unapologetically, not looking for what's safe to speak about.
Right.
They are supposed to be introducing. You got these Republicans and some Democrats, by the way, backing damn me white supremacist Nazis like Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Okay, Jasmine Crockett pointed out that she didn't vote for it and the Democrats did. Okay, that's all great and everything. But the bottom line is, it's not enough to just talk about what they do in negative. We've had years of this garbage now. Who is pushing a black agenda?
Yes, sir.
Who is pushing a foundational freedom agenda? Who is doing that?
Yes, sir.
Because Donald Trump is bringing over here white Afrikaners, while everybody's giving us damn excuses for what they can't say.
Yes, sir.
So Donald Trump is the he got damn me Nick Fuentes. He's having dinner with Nick Fuentes.
Yes, sir.
So we are the undesirable niggas over here. But Nick Fuentes can go to Mar-a-Lago and eat with the president.
Right.
So he can do that. But they try to act like we're the enemy over here. And really? What's going on over there? So that I've lost all patience for that garbage.
Yes, sir.
I've lost all patience for that mess. And the real issue, though, is that we as a people have to lose patience for that. So
Yes,
when she starts talking about them erasing her district or whatever, first thing I have to say is, okay, what's the marvelous thing that was done in between there?
Exactly.
Because
not a damn
here's
thing.
my thing. You can't point to a single podcaster who is a louder voice for the white agenda than Trump is.
Right.
You can't point to him. Even Nick Fuentes is getting softer. Donald Trump has been as loud, if not louder, than any person you can find online for the white agenda.
Yes, sir.
Period. You cannot say that about a single black Democrat. Not even one.
One. Yes, sir.
You can't say that at all. That is a damning commentary.
Yes, sir.
That is a damning commentary to the folks who we shouldn't have to say a damn word. They're supposed to be speaking for us. And every time we turn around, they got an excuse for why they're not speaking for anybody except their damn selves.
Yes, sir.
That's the part that's inexcusable. So, yes, I said that about Trump, and I said about Marjorie Taylor Greene. At least she stood by her convictions. She has not been afraid to toe the white supremacist line. She has not been afraid to push for them. I can't do anything but respect that. I don't like it, but I can't do nothing but respect it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't. And it just makes it all the more striking and obvious that your black representatives do not do the same damn thing.
Yes, sir.
It's not enough for them to get together with us at some damn local meet and greet. Ooh, I agree with y'all, but agree me ass. When the Democrats are in power, that's the time for y'all to pull a damn Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, sir.
If you really represent us, you're supposed to be back to the wall, and you're supposed to represent us just like that and tell them, oh, hell no, we're going to overturn the damn apple cart. Hey, the president's not happy with you. Your job is not for the president to be happy with you. Your job is for us to be happy with you.
Yes, sir.
And if backing our agenda makes the president unhappy, you're supposed to make the president unhappy. You have an obligation to do so, because that's what it means to represent us.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have any of them who made Joe Biden upset, angry, sideways, Obama, nothing. They get to Washington and they're all getting on, damn them niggas. Pass the wine. So at the very least, Marjorie Taylor Greene stands a better chance of winning than Keisha Bottom B or any of the rest of them, because the bottom line is, no matter what you might think about her, she's authentic.
Of course.
At least you think she's real.
Yes, sir.
At least you think she is actually real. You might not like her racial positions, but if she says she's going to do something, you don't think that she's saying that just to get through a conversation with you. No, she's actually going to try to do it.
Yeah, she kept her word, brother.
Yeah, if she says she wants to lower taxes or whatever, and you actually believe that'll happen.
Yes, sir.
So with these other folk here, no, it's that just adds to it. That really, really does. And look, Fulton County is what determines what happens in Georgia. Fulton County is what determines that. And if the black vote is just like, okay, what's the point? Then that becomes an issue.
Yes, sir.
That becomes an issue if the black vote is just like, yeah, we just don't get it. We don't understand why. We just don't get it.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you have the last word.
Hey, brother, look, thank you so much for tonight's broadcast. Thank you for taking my call. And I'm going to land my plane. All right, be one to you and the family.
Be one, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Speaking of white supremacists. In America, just thought we would take a moment here to watch a video from CNN of Elon Musk's father. And folks, Elon Musk's father would like to let you all know something. That there were only happy niggas in South Africa. What? Oh, no, folks. He's going to tell you this. That they were doing better because of him and the Afrikaners. This is the same sick, psychotic, white supremacist lie they tell everywhere they go. But listen to it for yourselves.
Concern at the moment, and why I think South Africa is a big talking point in the US right now, is America in the next 20 years will become, for the first time in its history, a minority white country.
Well, that will be a very, very bad thing to happen. You want to see the US go down? Why? Oh, you don't like cars and electric cars, and you don't like technology, or what is it? You want to go back to the jungle, or?
If the US becomes a minority white country.
Yes.
So there's Latinas, there's blacks, there's people from all different races make up the majority, and then, it could be 48% white people. Do you really think the US is doomed if it goes under?
Yes, it goes under then.
Seriously?
Yes, of course. You see, if you take South Africa, we have a small white population that projects the European culture, or what we learned from Europe.
And oppressed millions of black people.
No.
For decades.
How do you oppress? We gave them work, we fed them. They grew from a tiny little group into a massive group. That's not oppression, that's feeding them.
Nigga, what?
Okay, there are two things I want to point out here. Two things I want to point out first. First thing, do you notice that he talks just like his son? Let me explain that. I don't mean that he's just talking as a white supremacist. That's not what I mean. Everybody says that Elon is autistic. Talk about the fact that how the way Elon talks and stuff is kind of slow or deliberative. But did you notice his father talks the same way? To which I tell you, that's not autism. That is a family affectation. That's not autism. That is a family behaviorism. So that's the first thing I'm going to tell you. That's not autistic. This is a family affectation. That's the first thing. So now you know that, yeah, this runs in a family that they think about what they're saying while they're saying it. So you need to take everything they say seriously because they're thinking about it. The next thing is, did this jackass just sit up here and say that the white Afrikaners increased the black population, that there were just a few of them, and because of the Afrikaners that like there weren't more black folk there before they showed up? People, this is what happens when white supremacists have power, they will not just rewrite history, they will create a science fiction. And they will say that science fiction with conviction because whoever is in power writes the history. And he's sitting here telling you that there were just a few black folk and the Afrikaners took so good care of them under apartheid that black folk were just flourishing in numbers because the white supremacist Afrikaners took such good care of their black population. Don't you know?
You only grow big if you get fed. You only start at 800 and become 50 million if you get fed. We fed them, for crying out loud.
800? You only go from 800 to 800. What the hell is he talking? People, white supremacists are evil. They are evil because, as Dr. John Henry Clark taught us, they will create a narrative for everyone to buy into, even if it's a lie. Now, he knows what he's saying is a lie. He knows it's false, but it is necessary to create a narrative that everyone will agree on and everyone will get behind. And this will be the narrative that we all use as our justification, even if we know it's a lie, even if we know it's false. Because it's not about the narrative. Jason, how can they do that? The brain would have too much conflict because it's not about the narrative. It is about what the narrative represents. It doesn't matter what the narrative is. The narrative represents white supremacy. And they all know, wink, wink, what that 850 million really means. They know it's not about the numbers of the population. The numbers of the population are irrelevant to them. It is about what saying that sentence represents. That we have the right to kill, murder, abuse, brutalize, oppress because we're white. And we are, in fact, the good guys. It's not about what's real. It's about what it represents, and it represents white supremacy.
You know, enough with this nonsense.
But so you understand, because the black population was so oppressed under apartheid.
Well, we never saw this oppression you're talking about.
You never saw it.
No, I never saw it.
Now, that was not just somebody being dishonest. That was pure, unadulterated evil. If you want to know what evil is, that was it right there. You can talk about the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and whatnot, and let us be clear, they just certainly deserve their fair amount of criticism, no doubt whatsoever. But when you have somebody like this and he says something like that, that's just pure unadulterated evil.
From a tiny little group into a massive group. That's not oppression. That's feeding them. Do you understand? You only grow big if you get fed. You only start at 800 and become 50 million if you get fed. We fed them, for crying out loud. You know, enough with this nonsense.
But so you understand, because the black population was so oppressed under apartheid.
Well, we never saw this oppression you're talking about.
You never saw it.
No, I never saw it.
Yeah, because you're white. The big.
Okay, this reporter is just, nice try, dude, but it's not because he's white. It's because he's white supremacist. The only way he couldn't have seen it would have been if he wasn't there. Even if your eyeballs didn't work, your ears are telling you what's happening. There was literally no way you could avoid it. That's like going into McDonald's and saying, I don't see no damn French fries.
Nigga, what?
People, that's like going to Disney World and saying, I don't see no damn mice. Where are the mice? I walked all over that damn place. Can't see none. It's like going to a golf course. I don't see no grass. You ain't got to see it. You can feel it under your feet. You can hear it. Man, ain't no apartheid. I don't see no oppression. Okay, if there was no oppression, then why is it that he didn't want to trade places with the black folk then? So I want you all to understand that in a system of white supremacy, this is what you're really up against. They will tell you that if you fight white supremacy, that's DEI. Meanwhile, these guys will sit right here and in real time are telling you there was no oppression in South Africa. Then why did you need apartheid then? These individuals, look, white supremacy is about lying. It always has been. White supremacists are not ignorant. You are a stupid, foolish child if you run around talking about racists are just ignorant. They are not ignorant. They know exactly what they're doing. In the words of our immortal ancestor, Brother Neely Fuller, racism, white supremacy is too uniform for people to be ignorant of what they're doing. Whenever you encounter it, it is the same everywhere you go. It can't be that uniform everywhere you go if everybody didn't know what they were doing. It would be too weak. It couldn't be so consistent in every city, every state, every continent. It can't be that consistent if there's not a unifying ideology that everyone is aware of. You can't have something this consistent that people are just doing by accident, year after year, decade after decade, century after century. It can't be this uniform and by accident. It's only this uniform if everyone knows. And so if you want to know where Elon Musk's white supremacy comes from, he didn't get it one day from a book. He didn't stumble into it one day on an internet website. You can see the tree that bore the fruit. He learned it at the knee of this bastard here. And that's what America brought over here. America's immigration policy favors and actually prioritizes anti-black racism. Notice I didn't say white supremacy. I said specifically anti-black racism. It is not enough that you are pro-white. You must also be anti-black. Ain't that right, Candace Owens? What? There's a reason that we've had to distinguish ourselves, because it is not enough for you to be pro-white. No. They ain't gonna cut it. You have to specifically be anti-black. Ain't that right, Dinesh D'Souza? Damn! Ain't that right, Michelle Malkin? What? We can go down the list. So you see, if you want to get your passport stamped and get your visa stamped and your citizenship stamped, you have to be specifically anti-black. And specifically have animosity towards the descendants of the foundation. You have to specifically have that. And so this is taught to you. They want to check and see what your racist pedigree is before they let you in. They want to know that you're on team white supremacy and anti-black before you can be let in. Not after, before. And if you pass that, then we'll see what we can do. But that's what it's really about. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if we can get Jay over here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Jay, I'm looking for you. I don't see him. Where are we doing, Jay? Okay, there you go. All right, Jay, what's on your mind? Unmute yourself, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you're on.
Yeah, man, let me turn it down a little bit, man. I don't want no echo. Hear me, brother?
Sir, speak.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel some type of way. It's so obvious, bro. I'm a black man, and I'm in my 30s. I've been experiencing these things for 30 years, bro. It's so obvious, and it's so, and that, gaslighting. These are new words and whatever. So it makes zero sense to me. But a lot of us trying to come up and trying to understand it. So, how can us that's just been understanding it? Maybe we never found you or whatever, but we understand these things for 30, 40 plus years. How can we not get, the new term is like rage baited? How can we move forward without just, this is obvious. So how can we move forward without getting rage baited and like really move forward without letting them suck us in?
Well, that was what Brother Neely Fuller dedicated his life to. The whole purpose of Neely Fuller, what he dedicated himself to, the compensatory code system concept, was that he wanted you to understand white supremacy. You see, what overcomes fear, anger, anxiety, what overcomes emotion is understanding. Notice I didn't say knowledge, I said understanding. Knowledge can just be knowledge goes, let me answer your question. I'm answering your question. Knowledge can be a pile of data. When you understand something, that is what subdues emotions, feelings, getting triggered. That because you see it from a different lens. You're not responding to it emotionally. You're not responding to it in a surface way. You already understand it before you've even seen it and heard it. If you don't have that, then you get triggered.
I don't want to cut you off. I really don't. But like on a day-to-day basis, when us brothers that we kind of understand what's going on, and her sisters, and maybe we never found you. Just because we didn't find you don't mean we don't understand from our soul what's going on. We all know what's going on. When we find you, when we find the black media, then we feel like we're not alone. But when we're just going on a daily basis and they're rage baiting us, quote unquote term, they've been doing that for us for 100 years. Like, how do we deal with that? And then
exactly what I just said, sir. You're supposed to deal with it before it happens. If you don't have understanding, then you will always be susceptible to being triggered, being emotionally manipulated. You're not supposed to be new booty to racism every time you run into it. You're supposed to expect it. Once again, that's why Brother Neely Fuller described when you get pulled over by the police, you're behind enemy lines. Okay, but you're supposed to have that understanding that you're behind enemy lines before you ever get pulled over. You're supposed to understand that as simply an artifact of being here. Well, if you understand that and you accept it, then when those events happen, you're not triggered because you already understand where you are. If, however, you are still conflicted about it, well, yes, you're going to have bad emotional reactions. You're going to be getting outraged as opposed to it's another day in America because you know exactly where you are. So whether it's at the job, the police, the courthouse, the media, you can understand it and not have a volatile emotional reaction, because if you're having an emotional reaction, what that means is you don't understand. Babies have emotional reactions. Toddlers have emotional reactions. People who don't understand things panic and have emotional reactions. People who understand things are stoic. If you don't know what stoic means, look it up. But people who understand things are stoic. Even if they see something severe happen, even if they see something radical happen, everybody else is losing their minds. A stoic individual is like, yeah, in the back of your head, you expected this. That's what understanding gives you. Everything you see is something you've seen before. You expect it because you understand where you at.
That's a fact, bro. As a black man, we all experience it. So let me articulate myself a little bit better. It's like when we see other brothers and they, they use them to like do that. And we're like, yo, bro. So how do you deal? Like, okay, I understand these things, brothers. So how do you do when the brothers? It's like on a regular level, like, so how do you deal with that?
Okay,
I'm not worried,
folks. Everybody knows the deal. So once again, this is an understanding issue, Jay. Nobody is ignorant. Every single black person in America knows what is going on.
So how would we deal with our own people? When
Okay, I'm telling you what it is. Calm yourself down, dude.
All right, baby.
What you need to do is understand that everybody already knows what's going on. If you will not accept that, then you just go around in circles like you're currently doing, asking the same question over and over again. I can't understand this for you. You have to understand it and accept it. Everybody already knows there are only two types of black people in the system of white supremacy. Those who understand that racism exists and fight it, and those who understand it exists and they go back to picking the cotton. Your job is to be able to identify and distinguish between the two so that you are not wasting time or effort trying to collaborate with individuals who are just like, man, let me get back to picking this cotton. The whole reason for us here is that you're around folk who, by and large, are not interested in looking at white supremacy and then going back to picking the cotton. They are interested in doing something about it now that they understand what it is. That's the difference. So if you are surrounding yourself with people who are in that situation and are not fighting it, that's not accidental.
So what do you mean by like it's not accidental? I mean like, so if I'm at work, I worked a lot of jobs.
When people are, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said that white society plays dumb about racism and black people play dumb along with them.
So I'm
this
just
is
saying,
not
like,
a matter.
this
It's not a
movement-
matter of the folk you're talking to don't see the same thing you see. They see the same thing you see. They understand the same thing you understand. What you have is a lack of courage and conviction to do something about it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. That's about as much as we can deal with here. Brother, just let that percolate for a little bit. All right, let me jump back over here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if I can get... let me get Don up here on Zoom right quick for us. Let me see if I can, or at least I'm going to try to here. I don't see anything. He must have gotten up and walked away there for a minute, so can't wait here all night. Okay, Don, I can give you 3 more seconds here.
I'm here.
Killing the program.
I'm here. I was just waiting for it the Zoom to come on in.
All right, Don, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is this, man. Without the true identification of a people, i.e., them truly knowing who they are in true history, you're spinning your wheels. You're going nowhere. So the term African American, we know where that left us. So we revert back to, the 70s term of black. Well, the problem I had coming up as a kid was, where is black? Where is the land of black? I can't find it. However, on my birth certificate, it says Negro. Well, with a little bit of diligence and a little bit of what black folks won't do to discover the truth, you crack a book and you find the truth. Oh my goodness. My birth certificate says Negro. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Wait. There's a historic map. There's a historic map that says Negro land. There's a map that says Negro land.
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
Don, what does this have to do? What does this have to do with what I'm talking about tonight, Don? What does that have to do with it?
Okay, what does it have to do with it? It talks about who you truly are.
Okay, second time, what does this have to do with what I'm talking about tonight?
So what I was saying, with the true identity.
Okay, without the true identity. Okay, I guess he fell out. He's still here on my line right now, but I don't see him. I don't hear anything, so he said that. And
well, can you hear me now, Jason?
Okay, try again, Don.
Okay, what part did I leave off at?
Okay, somewhere around Mars and somewhere around the...
No, I was talking about people's true identity
bus.
and how you're not going nowhere with using terms like African American or reverting back to the term black. Because as a child of the 70s, I often wondered, where is black? Where's the country of black? But see, when I look at my birth certificate, that gives me some clues because it says Negro. And when I look back and read historically, by opening a book, there's a
Don,
place
for
called
the
Negro
last
Land.
time, what does this have to do with what I'm talking about tonight?
It has everything to do with what you're talking about tonight.
You haven't referenced a single thing I'm talking about tonight. So what are we doing?
We're talking about the identification of people, and apparently the caller that you had before was talking about identity.
No, he was talking about how you convince people to understand what we understand.
Well, the thing about it is, if you don't know who you are, you're not going to have any understanding anyway.
Okay, well,
so if you're working under false titles and false pretenses, then you'll never know.
Okay, well, I've already had that conversation.
Okay, I see you're averse to the truth.
I told.
All right, let me see. Let me see if I can get Shakir up here. All right, brother Shakir, what's on your mind?
Jason, I saw that interview with Elon Musk's father, and then I also heard that the whites are 7% of the population, yet they own 75% of the land. And then I was thinking, well, the Viet Cong worked with Ho Chi Minh's government in North Vietnam to make sure that the Americans didn't gain that kind of a foothold. How come they don't have some sort of equivalent in South Africa to Black South Africa, to the equivalent to the Viet Cong working with the Black South African government to gain control? It's because the Black leaders have sold out?
Yes. That's exactly what's occurred. When you go to South Africa, Julius Malema is a severe outlier. The rest of them are talking about the love of Jesus and the need for reconciliation, not empowerment. The Dutch came down there on conquest and empowerment, ruthlessly by any means. These other folk are not on that. Another thing is, look at what you mentioned there. So you mentioned Vietnam. Okay, you're talking about a war zone. Whether it's Vietnam, China, Korea, I can go down the list. Those places rose up out of war zones. South Africa has not been the same thing. It was colonized, but there wasn't actually a shooting, declared war and whatnot. So I think that it's real easy to tell yourself that it's not that severe when folks ain't literally dropping planes and bombs on you. So what I'm saying is that a lot of folk tend to need to have things to be so outrageously severe they can no longer deny it and lie to themselves. But South Africa, quite frankly, is overrun by a bunch of ass-kissing Negroes. We just got to call it what it is. They consider that to be a rite of passage, to bow and be oppressed. They consider that to be a plus, that, white people think so much of us that they've come to oppress us. That's still what they're on to this day.
And another thing is, I heard that you said one time, or you kind of implied, that when we left the plantations, a whole bunch of sellouts left with us, a bunch of mammies, and there was no such thing as a Black Nuremberg. Well, that's true, but also what would have been nice is if we could have had some sort of unity and gone over to Liberia and established our foothold there, and then kind of work with the brothers and sisters over here. Like they come over here and infuse themselves into our politics. It would be nice if we could go over there and infuse ourselves in Liberia and gain a foothold there and then work with the brothers and sisters over here.
I mean, it would be nice, but as you know, Liberia was fundamentally flawed to begin with. So there's the real thing, because here's the problem with Liberia here, brothers and sisters around the world. Power is not given, power is taken. And we are not going to have a foothold until we take a foothold. Now there's just the bottom line to it. If it is given to us, then that is not going to work. We're going to need to have resources and whatnot, but you're not really going to come into your own until you start taking power. And that means you do it on your own terms. That's a very, very important distinction to make. So Liberia is a historical anecdote. It's nice to invoke, but it was fundamentally flawed. Here's the real thing. It doesn't matter where we are. If we're all on code, that's what changes everything. It can be Liberia, Louisiana, Atlanta. Once you're on code, that's what changes things. The white supremacists are not where they are because of land. The land was a result of them getting on code. White supremacy is the code that allows them to all get together and then they work in unison towards that end, no matter who it messes over. So if once you start getting on that, that becomes different. And then you start saying things like, wait a minute, this is our land. South Africa is not something that an Afrikaner can give to you. See, there's the mindset shift right there. I don't have to negotiate with Elon Musk's father. You can't give me what belongs to me. You cannot hand me or allow me on what's already mine. That don't work that way. And then you start doing things differently. So that mindset difference right there that I just explained, that is not dominant over there. It isn't.
Yeah, well, you know, with there's 7% of the population and they own 75% of the land, and I'm over there living in a shanty town with no running water, no toilet, then to me, it's like a metaphorical bomb. I mean, I understand it's not like it was in Southeast Asia, but I mean, come on, man. You know, when you can't have a decent toilet that spreads disease, that's kind of a low-key warfare. But the final point I wanted to bring out was that when we talk to black politicians about a black agenda, their response is, well, you know, we can't just represent only black people because we won't win anything. But when they get in the office, they don't do anything. So, I mean, I always tell them, I say, well, voting for you is not really voting for us. It's voting for your career advancement. And they said, well, we've made some changes. Now, there's this one brother, and he came out with this thing, I think it is, where here we're going to take down the Confederate monuments. But this is just the same symbolic gesture when we're talking about tangible black assets that we need to receive, and they keep coming at us with these symbolic gestures.
Right, because symbolic gestures are what you offer people because that's something you can do quickly. It is something that is highly visible. You can show photographs of it. I mean, it is physical and concrete, but it's also something that can be done relatively quickly. And because it is symbolic, you know, it's a victory, but what you're saying is, but socially and tangentially, it doesn't change anything beyond okay, we've changed the landscape, but we haven't changed anything else. Now, even here in Shreveport, for example, you know, I haven't talked about this in a minute. We got rid of that Confederate monument that was down there in front of the courthouse, in front of Caliparich's courthouse for all these decades. So imagine going to court and you got to walk past Robert E. Lee and the slave owners on your way up in there. So, of course, nothing unjust about this. But, okay, after you take the monument down, great. Now what? Now, don't get me wrong. It needs to come down. But if that monument comes down and nothing else changes, it doesn't matter. If everything else changes and the monument's there, then the monument becomes inconsequential. And that's the mindset that we need to be on. So when you have an agenda in your own code, that's what you do.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. And one more thing about South Africa there. I want y'all to understand something. See, these other folks understand things differently. I have to remind you all that you have been lied to. You've been lied to across the damn board. You're lied to by your politicians. Your schools don't teach you this. Your business schools don't teach you this. You can go look up all these YouTube videos. They don't teach you this, people. You can talk about the chaebols in Korea, in South Korea. You can talk about the zaibatsu in Japan. People, all these major industries, after the wars happened, that became a reorganization of the whole society. So that was when the local governments in Korea, in Japan, when they came out of the wars and whatnot, they selected families and, okay, you are going to run this industry. So today in Japan, that's why you have Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi. Those were the families that were chosen. In Korea, Samsung and the rest of them, those are the families that were chosen. Hyundai, those are the families that were chosen. The government said you will be in charge of this industry. And that's what you have in America. Elon Musk came all the way over from South Africa with his white supremacist ass, and America plugged him into the government. Elon Musk is a direct beneficiary of a public-private partnership. While they're telling you about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. And oh yeah, by the way, JP Morgan, the banks, Bank of America, Citibank, Amazon, we can go down the damn list. So you see, in South Africa, you're supposed to do the same thing down there. The government is supposed to say, okay, these are the black folk here. You're going to be in charge of this. You're going to be in charge of the power grid. You're going to be in charge of the automotive industry over here. You're going to be in charge of the oil industry over here. You're going to be in charge of the electronics over here. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If South Africa was serious, that's what they would be doing. They would be selecting families and selecting individuals. Okay, you in charge of this industry here. You're going to be the one selected. It doesn't matter which Afrikaners are sitting on it now. It's like, okay, yeah, we're making changes. We're making changes. That's what you do when you are in charge of the government there. Because that's what them folks do. You're not going to have power until that becomes the code of conduct and the principle you're operating under. But let's just be honest. These other folks consider it to be a privilege that they come into contact with their oppressors, and that matters to them much more. Well, okay, you're in a shanty town, but if you have the occasional prospect of interracial sexual access, well, I guess it's worth it. And that's really what they're on. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again right quick here. Okay, we got Timmy up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Timmy? Why are you looking like damn me, Chef Boy RD?
Oh, sorry.
Girl, she got a whole damn chef's hat on her head up here. Girl, what are you doing?
Oh, I was actually about to go to bed, but how
you look like the mascot from the Cream of Wheat box.
Damn!
You know, she looked just like the dude from the Cream of Wheat box up here. I'm like, okay. What's on your mind, Timmy?
Okay, so that Elon Musk's father is cringe. He really triggered me. But there's several things I have to say about South Africa. So one of the things is I had a discussion with my mom, and there's a lot of Nigerians who actually migrated to South Africa, and they were doing well. They pushed them out because I do have family over there. They pushed them out because they said, number one, they feel like the Nigerians are prideful. Number two, they said they were stealing their females, and number three, they said they had like an arrogance to them. And here's another thing: the Julius situation. I cannot respect South Africa as a whole because he was the only person who advocated for them. And, you know, here's the problem. People were saying his message was violent. You can't prove that his message was violent. He may have sounded aggressive, but I listened to some of his stuff. He really advocates because, you know, South Africa has a ruling class of white people who still rules there. It's like nothing ever changed. They're the only country that's I feel like that. I honestly think is still under apartheid.
That was the deal that Mandela made. So
right.
that's the thing we have to keep in mind. That it did not require them to divest their holdings or their wealth. It didn't require that.
Here's another thing, and I know a lot of people are not going to like me. Mandela, that guy was a fraud. There was a documentary that came out on him. Some dude named Irritated Genie did some documentary. That guy is a fake. I do not respect him and people don't even know the truth about him. He actually was a part of the system. There was a weird commercial that he did after the apartheid ended. And it was a white dude who was in drag. I don't know if you ever seen this. He was talking to a white dude, overweight white dude who was in drag, and they were sitting there in this commercial having a conversation. I can't remember what, but I'm like, so this guy Mandela is over here talking to like a homophile. Like, what the hell?
Well, here's the thing. Mandela was not the only person that was out here in these streets in South Africa. So I'm not a big fan of putting it all on one person. When they talk about the founders in America, they ain't talking about just one guy.
Oh no.
But when it comes to us, we want to put everything on one person. And that's bad strategy. It's bad military tactics. You don't put everything on one damn person. So that right there, to be totally honest, doesn't carry a lot of weight with me because it's more like a scapegoat. In reality, because you had a number of folk, but in reality, the bottom line is you got to be honest. There wasn't a concrete agenda. And to the extent there wasn't discipline about how to enforce it. You are not supposed to have any Afrikaners involved in this.
Right.
Once y'all take power and whatnot, it's like they don't have a say. They don't have any say. You don't get to be the devils sitting here and you have a say over. You don't have any say. And I want to remind you all of something. If you're Jewish, it doesn't matter if you're from America. They bring you to Israel and you get tucked in.
Right.
Trump is bringing white Afrikaners from South Africa to America, and they getting took in. You and me can't go to South Africa and get took in. In Israel, they give you money, they give you a house, you get set up. They bring over white Afrikaners, you gonna get some money and a place to stay, and you get set up. Why the hell? There's not a single place in Africa you and me can do that. Not a one where we can go over there and we get set up. Okay, here's where you're gonna live. Here's some money for you right here. We're gonna make sure you're good. There's no place that happens. That's what's wrong in South Africa. That right there.
Right. I feel like there needs to be a second revolt throughout all Africa. They need to throw completely with what's going on with what's that place? The revolt with oh my God, I forgot, in Cameroon, where they trying to throw out the France. I think that's just at the beginning. I think that's a baby step. I feel like it should be a wave throughout all of Africa, because we can't even go there right now because of the butt kissing that's going on. They need to first flush out all those type of people. There needs to be a civil war. Like, you just need to get rid of those type of people.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I was saying here, I've been saying it for the longest time. South Africa is not going to be straight until South Africa deals with its coon culture. The bottom line is there are too many South Africans who are comfortable being in this condition that they're in. It's not accidental for them. They've grown a taste for it. They've acquired a taste for it, and it is going to take the half of the population that says enough of this bull jive to deal with the half of the population that is still comfortable picking the cotton and being the dogs on the plantation. I'll let you have the last word.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the Epstein and the situation with what's his face, Donald Trump. Okay. These people, I've been saying this for the longest time. I told these people, like, all these people are in a collude. There's not going to be any damn justice for anybody, number one. Number two, watch. I promise you. When they do expose, I'm sure they're preparing us to because I noticed that the laws of consent is very questionable. They are trying, you said it before, that they trying to prepare us for these pedophiles, but I bet you they will release that file, but they're going to prepare us before they actually do that. They're going to prepare us, and Trump is going to have something to do with it.
That is incorrect. That's incorrect.
Why?
Those files would be too dangerous to ever release. You found the smoking gun. The problem with Jeffrey Epstein is, folks, you found the smoking gun. All that stuff that Alex Jones talked about and David Icke and the rest of them. And no, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a myth. It's real. And the Epstein files are the proof. Oh, it's real. It's every bit as real. Whatever you said the network and the conspiracy was, yeah, there it is. Now you've got concrete evidence that that evidence is too damn volatile and too damn damaging to ever release. So, folks, take a look. They're still hiding the Kennedy files. They're still hiding the Kennedy files. They're still hiding the JFK files, the MLK files, Malcolm X. Now, And we got proof now that the FBI and the New York Police Department were in on it. And they're not releasing those. So if you're not releasing something as quote unquote, I guess, lower on the totem pole as Malcolm, you're never going to get Epstein. So the real thing about it is just understand. And, recently on the woman who wrote that book with Virginia Giuffre, she was on Piers Morgan. And to this day, they're scared to say names. And she said that she didn't want to say names because them folk got at her. They called her up and let her know, yeah, you out here popping off at the lip on this book. Hey, you can get vanished. So you better think that over before you go somewhere saying names, because you can get disappeared. And we're talking about people with hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. They got heads of state. They deal with assassins, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, you can get disappeared. You really can. And who's going to investigate it? Cash Patel?
Nigga, what?
Who going to investigate it for you? So this is not a small thing. It is not a little thing. A lot of the stuff has probably already been disposed of to begin with, but then again, I don't think so. Because what Elizabeth Warren said, that's enough right there. The banking records have not been erased. You can find that. You can get that. So no, the problem is not that this stuff is not out there. You will not be allowed to see it. You won't be allowed to. Jeffrey Epstein's case, it's about declassifying them. You're in the military. That's a damn criminal case. That's not classified.
Right.
That's not a government thing. That's a criminal case. So it's insulting to your intelligence, for those of you in the military, to hear this talk. Jeffrey Epstein's files referred to as classified. That's reserved for government and military documents. That his case is not that, unless you're saying it is. Now, wait a minute. Unless he really was working for the U.S. government or the Israeli government. Oh, well, if he was a government military operation, well, that would explain everything. And what I'm telling y'all is that what they don't want is for this to go in front of the Supreme Court, because then they would have to explain why it's classified. And if they have to tell you, well, yeah, there was some government action, Katie, kaboom. And they're going to just tell you it was one or two things. No, it was as much as we thought it was. It was as deep as we thought it was. There's a bunch of y'all out here naked in bed with a bunch of underage girls or whatever else is going on. I don't know if y'all were connected to that pizza shop in D.C. they was talking about and whatnot, but y'all need pizza shops. You had islands. And it's like, yeah, it goes as far as you think. So I'm just letting y'all know. If they ever had to, they don't want this to ever come up for scrutiny, because if you have to concede to one thing, you got to concede to everything. And at this point, you already know too much. As far as they're concerned, y'all already know too much. You know enough right now to start indicting people. They just have control of the prosecutors, which is what's wrong with the government. They control the prosecutors, but you already have enough information to go indict them. We already got pictures of Ehud Barak showing up at Jeffrey Epstein's place in New York. This is not theory anymore. This is not speculation. You've got evidence. They just don't want you to ever have documentation. And everybody's in on it. The real problem is everyone's in on it. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just wrap up the Republicans. He wrapped up the Republicans, the Democrats, independents, business people. If you have any sort of influence, Jeffrey Epstein's job was to get his hooks in you. And to get something, Lawrence Summers, I mean, he's having to leave Harvard. Think about that for a few moments. All Trump did was just say, by the way, what about Lawrence Summers? He's in the files, and Lawrence Summers is done. That took, what, a day? Do you understand what must be in them files if you can remove Lawrence Summers in a day? Just by mentioning his name. It didn't take a week or nothing. Trump said his name one day, and the next day he's out. That tells you how potent what is in there is, and that they've got absolute proof of it. And that's why they started leaking the emails talking about Epstein said to, what's his name, Michael Wolff, that, by the way, would you like to see some pictures of Trump with some of these girls?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got pictures of him with some of the girls at the pool. Would you like to see that? So folks are letting you know, oh, it's not just a bunch of emails or phone calls or text records. Jeffrey Epstein's job was to collect a file on you. His job was to collect. He was the plug for whatever decadent thing you wanted, and his job was to get documentation and proof of it. And then it's like, when we get done, it's like, all right, now we need this bit of legislation over here passed, and we need this regulation over here did, and you need to let us do what we're going to do over here on the West Bank. And, otherwise, folks going to find out more than you want them knowing. And yes, Donald Trump would not be fighting this hard over this if there wasn't something in there that he knows specifically implicates him that he doesn't think he can explain away. Even if he didn't actually do anything sexual with them gals, obviously there's enough in there that he doesn't think he can explain it away. And he thinks it would be much better to just hide it. And he's willing to be totally blatant about it because he doesn't really think he can explain it away. Now, that's what I believe is going on there.
One more thing. I was going to make one more point. So the last guy who was talking about black, guys, you need to be fast when you try to explain something to Jason Black. He's basically trying to pull stuff from the Bible and basically say that this country is going to face judgment because of the oppression that it have done to the Negroes of this nation. This is basically what he was trying to explain, but he was very long-winded trying to explain it. I already know what's going to happen. I read the Revelations, and a lot of stuff that's happening right now is actually this revealed in Revelation. These people are going to get such a judgment. It's not going to even be funny. These people, and when I say these people, I'm talking about all the Western nations, Europe, United States, all the Americas. They got away. They thought that they got away with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that's happening to them that they are suffering from right now, but it's just begun. Like the suffering is for them is going to get worse, until like this country and all Western country is destroyed.
And my response to that is pray like everything depends on God and work like everything depends on you.
Right. Exactly.
So whatever you all think will be quote unquote judgment, there's one thing I'm convinced of. It's not going to happen on its own.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and jump over here and one more thing about that Epstein file. I just, so you all can know definitively where I stand on it. I'm not convinced that Trump didn't take some liberties. I'm not convinced that he didn't. So I'm never going to say that because he's fighting too damn hard and he is just willing to get himself smeared up too blatantly. Whatever is in there must be very damaging. It must be. And whatever it is, it must be definitive. Notice he's not arguing about the birthday book anymore. First, he said he never signed anything in the birthday book. Then they show the pages from the birthday book. Have you noticed he's not arguing about the birthday book anymore? And I'm convinced that came from Ghislaine Maxwell. What? Ghislaine Maxwell wants out. Ghislaine Maxwell, I think she's the one leaking things. She letting Trump know, hey, nigga. Hey, I don't give a damn how bad it look. You better get me up out of here. You better get me up out of here. I don't give a damn how damaging it looks. Get me up out of here. Otherwise, you better get ready for a cell next to me. And Trump said, okay, calm down, calm down. We're going to move you to this country club prison over here so you can be with Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos chick. But yeah, y'all notice that stuff started leaking, and then Trump goes and sends his people to go talk to her, and all of a sudden ain't nothing else leaking. Did y'all notice that? Things were leaking right before he sent his people to go talk to her. They went and talked to her, moved her to a new country club prison. Now ain't nothing else leaking. Isn't that convenient? All of a sudden the leak stopped. That sounds to me like somebody got some act right. That sounds to me like somebody got sent a package and let them know, okay, you better get some act right. Because you don't want folks knowing what I know. So you better take care of this. And whatever it is, I think what it is that Ghislaine Maxwell can prove that Trump knew. I think that she can prove that Trump knew. He knew what Epstein was doing. Even if he didn't join in, he was 100% aware. He knew, and he was just like, hey, that's Jeff's get down. And I'm not really going to bust the hustle, but that's Jeff's get down. I don't really rock like that, but Jeff kind of likes him on the young side. So what I think that Jeffrey Epstein's files show that Trump knew and he didn't do anything. I think that Epstein is able to prove that Trump knew what he was doing. He knew what was happening at Epstein's place, but he didn't do anything about it. He's known all these years. He knew everything that was going down, and he was just sitting back watching. And that would be damaging enough if you could definitively prove that Trump knew, or that he had conversations with Epstein and it was very obvious you know what Epstein's doing and you're cool with him. After you found out, you're still cool with him. You just figured, oh, well, that's his get down. That's what I think is in the Epstein files on Trump. I think they can prove that. I think Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein could prove he knew what we were doing. He was one of our homies and he knew what we were doing. And he was all right with it. It wasn't a problem until I got arrested. Once I got busted for it, all of a sudden, he don't know me. But before I got busted, he was okay with it. And I think for a number of them, I think that's actually the quote unquote evidence against most of them. I think for most of them, the damaging part is that Epstein can prove y'all knew what I was doing. You all knew what I was doing and you were okay with it. I don't think Jamie Dimon ever went to Epstein Island and did anything illegal. Okay, but take a look at what's happening to him now. I don't think Jamie Dimon did anything of an illegal sexual nature with any of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. But what is Chase Bank getting pulled into the damn spotlight for? You knew. You knew and you kept doing business with him. You knew. And that part right there, all the people who knew and didn't do anything and didn't change anything and still kept rocking with him, that's what they don't want getting out. That, yeah, I knew what he was doing. He was doing it for years, but he had the bag. He was mobbed up with a bunch of politicians, folks overseas. He was a fixer. He had the bag. So I was just like, hey, man, keep that stuff over there away from me. But yeah, we can still do business. We can still do business. And so Jeffrey's like, even if I don't get incriminating photos, the fact that you still rock with me, that'll be enough. I'll just hold on to that. And everybody who now that is blown up in their faces, nobody wants to have proof that they rocked with him. They're all scared that that's going to come out. Because how do you deal with anybody else after that? And that's what I think is the majority of what are in the Epstein files. All the people who knew what he was, knew what he was doing, and they were cool with him. And now they're desperate to make sure that doesn't come out. Take a look at what happened to Prince Andrew. Never got convicted of anything. He's lost all of his royal holdings. So it's just a tar baby, man. It's a tar baby. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. Let me see if we can get Richard up on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Richard, what's on your mind? Turn off your speaker, sir.
Yes, I want to ask you a question. You brought up gentleman brought up an interesting point about South Africa and how the percentage of the populations and the people aren't involved. The cooning seems to be international. And my question for you, can the code go international? Elon Musk can run from the United States to South Africa with no problem. Can we get to that point with where you are with FBA?
Yes, brother, absolutely. Understand something. You know, when you take a look at China, and Elon has talked about this, China doesn't see what's happening right now as China is a third world country that has finally come into the first world in the industrialized age of the 21st century. When you take a look at the last 800, 900 years, China was the predominant power for most of that. So as far as China, we're talking about the height of, building and technology and sciences and social studies. Well, China's like, wait a minute, that was us. That was in Europe. And we didn't even have to have contact with Europeans. We did all this independently on our own. So yeah, as far as China is concerned, this is just them returning to their leadership position in the world. That the last 150 years, as Mao called it, the great embarrassment, but that was all. This last 150 years has just been a time of embarrassment and a time of shame, but that they're just returning back where they belong. They're not, their leadership, them become the world's biggest economy and whatnot. They're just like, no, this is where we're supposed to be here. We're supposed to be here. Okay, well, guess what? We can do the same thing. And we do have leadership positions and things like that, but you have a concerted effort by the government and society to make sure that we only get boxed in certain areas where we can serve, but we don't lead. But if we get enough on code, yeah, all that changes. All that changes.
My next question was referencing Ibrahim Traore, who seems to have gotten his country on code as opposed to South Africa. Do you do international trade with these countries? I grew up when the black Muslims were doing international trade back then. So, I mean, where do you stand on that? How do we interface?
The bottom line is whatever we're doing is perfectly fine so long as we are excelling at it. So trade, media, academia, you name it. I mean, just all the above. Whatever you're selling, I'm buying. As long as we are excelling at it and we are in control of our destiny with it. Because right now, the problem is with us being in the position that we're at everybody else's mercy, which means everything we get is limited. And even if you do have a few black folk who, quote unquote, have a lot, the problem is they are limited because we don't measure you compared to the floor. We measure you compared to the ceiling. And when you take a look at the folk at the top, we're not even remotely close to it. But that's because we're in an engineered, contrived position of oppression. So, no, I mean, all that what you're saying is spot on. The real thing is, like I say, they have a vested interest in preventing that from happening because we are the only real legitimate threat to white supremacy. We're the only one. Everybody else wants to assimilate. Everybody else wants that. And we're the only group that has a historical pedigree of dismantling white supremacy. So they have a vested interest in preventing that.
Historic slave insurrection. The game is rigged over here, so you got to work if you're going to deal here.
You're in the system of white supremacy. And
That's
your
right.
ability to network and deal with others, you got to get resources. So we have to be very good about assembling resources, gathering resources, as a group, not just as individuals. One black person doing well doesn't help anything. A group of black folk on code doing well changes everything. That's the difference.
Great program, and I'll holler at you later.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, one person doing okay, that doesn't change things. A group of folk on code excelling, that changes everything. That changes everything. Let's go ahead and jump over here and see if we can get GR up here on Zoom for me right quick. Let me see if we can get GR up here on Zoom for me. All right, GR, I don't see anything here. Okay, there you go. All right, GR, what's on your mind?
Yeah, sorry, let me just mute this here thing here. Yeah, we spoke before. You called me a Black Republican. I just wanted to kind of, I pretty sure you spoke about it earlier. I jumped in kind of late, but I enjoyed the conversation last time.
Brother,
So
what time? Wait a minute. What time is it where you are?
It's about 9:41.
Okay, you're on Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why are you looking like a black Teletubby?
I don't know. I know I look like a black Teletubby.
He got the whole damn hoodie on. He look like whoever the little purple Teletubby is. Anyway, all right. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to say, just give my point of view and hear what you have to say in response. But I wanted to say that Trump seems to be flailing right now with his defeat in Congress regarding the Epstein files. As you know, he was fighting hella hard to keep that hidden. Not a good look. Not very much not a good look, since that's one, something that he fought for, and two, it's, I guess, if you want to be nice to Trump, you could say it's a 95% issue of people wanting it released. So his defeat there spends a lot of political capital. And this thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have a woman, and whatever you want to say about women having these kind of offices, you have a woman leaving under obviously pressure. I don't hate the MAGA movement, and I know that you might have your ideas about that, but this does definitely hurt the Trump MAGA movement, and it does open it up in my eyes.
Well, it certainly creates a scramble. It certainly does that. I mean, the ball has basically been knocked out, and it's a scramble for the ball at this point.
In a way,
Trump has been taking L's here. This is just the biggest one that's happened. This Epstein thing, he cannot overcome it. It is not going away. So glad this saga over there on Breaking Points admitted that he was wrong. This is not going away.
Yeah.
This thing has this is the JFK files of our era. And it's not going to disappear. It's not going to go away. Trump can't talk his way out of it. He can't get the base disinterested in it.
He will not.
And yes, his presidency is going to go the Epstein files. And the crazy part is we're only coming up on the end of year one, 3 more years to go. This has got a hell of a tail on it for them to beat you unmercifully with it. So what this has done is Republicans never wanted to be bullied by him in the first place. And now this has opened up an avenue where they can push back against him, because you take a look at this. He openly told them, do not vote for the Epstein files.
Yes, he did.
You're a bastard if you vote for the Epstein files.
Yes, he did.
And they all said, we're voting for the Epstein files.
Led by Thomas Massie. Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, Massie was certainly the first one who broke ranks. Here's the problem. Remember what I told you about before? I've been telling y'all, like in prison, when the guards tell the prisoners to move, y'all got to move. What happens the day that the guards tell you all to move and you stand still? That moment right there, the prison no longer belongs to the guards. Trump told the inmates to move.
Yeah.
Thomas Massie told them, stand still. And they stood still. And Trump is yelling at them, damn it, I said move.
Yeah.
And they still didn't move. You have lost the prison.
Yeah.
You lost the inmates. Right now, nothing will ever be the same, because every victory fuels the next victory. And every defeat fuels the next defeat. Because now the inmates didn't move the first time, next up is they're going to start back talking. That's the next thing, telling you what they don't have to do. Next thing you know, they putting hands on the guards. So it doesn't get better from here. The reason why Trump always viciously attacked anybody who spoke against him is because the first person who can speak against you and lives emboldens everybody else.
Yeah.
You're not seeing Thomas Massie didn't lead to fewer defectors. It led to more. And you can see where this is going. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning doesn't change anything. At best, she'll just be replaced by another one who's going to be leaning in her direction, because that's where the politics is. The politics is not on the side of protect Trump anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It isn't. So some of the old Ku Klux Klan heads, like that congressman here from Louisiana, Clay, whatever the hell his name is, and some of them dudes right there who are still stuck in the 2016 MAGA era, it's a new day. Folks broke ranks, and you're not going to be able to convince people that it's as dangerous as it was anymore.
And Trump thought that he had enough support to do this from the people. Now, I don't understand what in his mind is telling him that he can fight a not, again, being kind to him, a 95% favorability issue. There's Jesus made that's the one guy.
Because Trump is accustomed to leading.
Sure.
Okay, but no, I'm saying he's accustomed to leading. So in his mind, he's the salesman. It doesn't matter what the population thinks. He can talk them into going along with whatever his program is. And what he's tried to do now is get it to turn a dime. This is what happens when you win too much. Robert Greene talked about this in 48 Laws of Power. Success actually becomes poisonous because now you start believing you're going to succeed all the time, which leads you to think I can do anything I want to do. And that's not the way that works. So now he's trying to do too much. And what he's found out is you went to the well too many times. The well is dry.
Especially for this issue, for the Epstein files, for keeping that hidden.
But it's not just that. The Epstein files, which leads into the Israel issue, which antagonizes the America First issue, which comes down to the H-1B visa issues, and you're going down the line and seeing he's actually on the wrong side. He doesn't have to be the wrong side of everything. You just have to be on the wrong side of too many of them.
Especially when your slogan is America First.
He's now appearing to be on the wrong side of too many of the issues that his supporters are on. And he told himself, I can talk them into whatever I want. And
crazy.
Don't worry, let me go talk to them and they'll all get back in line. And now he's having to find out that's not what it is. And he doesn't have a plan B. He's just used to drinking the Kool-Aid that if he tells the population do this, they're going to rock with it. Mm-hmm. And no, dude, what he found out is that worked during when it was time to vote. Now it's time to lead. And yeah, the folks meant what they said. They're tired of the bait and switch. And now they see you as just another. You said you're going to drain the swamp. Now you look like just another creature from the swamp.
There you go. That's what I'm seeing as well. So I agree. 100%.
And so going forward, it doesn't get better for him after this. It doesn't.
It could if he wants to take the right positions.
No.
But will he? I don't know.
No,
it doesn't look like it.
No. And the reason why is because he's lost the trust of his soldiers. They don't trust him.
Yeah.
They don't trust him. During the campaign, they felt like they could believe in him. Now that he's in power, they're looking, it's like, okay, dude, you're doing too many things that we didn't like the Democrats for. You're doing too much of that.
Yeah.
And so now
like Jeb Bush.
Now they don't trust him. There's where the real issue comes. What happens when your followers have lost faith in you? And once again, it doesn't have to be all of them or even the majority of them. It just needs to be enough of them.
Mm-hmm. Stone D Ministry in your comments said 2016 Trump would call 2025 Trump the swamp. Correct. 100%.
Well, like I say, definitely folks need to, going forward, I don't see that getting better. I don't see it improving. Mm-hmm. Hoping that the Democrats are just so reprehensible that, folks will rock with you. That's not going to work. Nope. What works is having an agenda. And I'm just saying, if Trump had come into office and said, we're going to deal with the housing crisis, that right there, you could use that to wrap all of the other parts of his agenda right up in there. I explained this last week because that would take care of everything. Well, yeah, but that's only if you actually do have an America First agenda. If you do, then this is obviously what you would do. But if you're just another person who's bought and paid for by the oligarchs and the rich and the wealthy and the corporations, well, you're going to spend on the dime and do something else. And what do you know? He spent on the dime and did something else. And his people woke up to it, or enough of them did. And that's he's married to that agenda now because he's not going to stop doing what he's doing.
Doubt it.
It's not going to get better for him because he's not going to stop doing what he's doing. So he was put in the office to run as fast as he could, as quick as he could. Okay, you did too much. You blew your cover. And now it's going to be more profitable to fight you than it's going to be to go along with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's hay to be made. If folks want to get elected, there's hay to be made. So the guys who want to, the good old boy network is going to try to rock with him, but the insurgents and the upstarts, there's too much to be gained by fighting him. You don't
target is getting bigger.
You don't have to go along with this bull crap anymore. You don't have to.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you very much. Give us a call. Yeah, like I said, I think it's just going to lead to more of it. I think it's going to lead to more of it. I think there would be more of them. And yeah, I think that what you're going to need is just some folks who are just like, you know what? Let me win this without him. Having that Trump endorsement used to help you to stand out. Now you're going to have a bunch of folks who are like, you know what? Let me just make it on my own. Hey, Trump, don't help me. I don't need that kind of help. Don't help me. Trump is becoming a damaged brand. MAGA has become a damaged brand. And folks, before it is over, woke is going to be a positive affirmation again. What? By the way, I warned you all about this before, but I'm just saying, by the way, before it's over, yeah, people are going to want the exact opposite of this garbage show they got right now. And these things, the pendulum swings back the other way. But Trump is a damaged brand. MAGA is a damaged brand. Their most diehard believers are running from it. And when they finish failing, because it's been a failure and you're just in year one, folks are going to be scrambling for something else. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further with you all, because I'm going to say this right now. I would support Marjorie Taylor Greene for governor of Georgia if she comes and sits down with the people. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she actually did what was necessary, because Marjorie, you look like a chick who needs some help right now. You look like you could use some help. I don't think it does you any good to be making enemies. But if you all want to know where I come down on it, it's just like, okay, people, we have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Okay, in the chat room, you don't trust her. Dude, this ain't about trust.
And deal with it.
Folks, it's 2025. Do I really have to review this? Do I really have to go over this again? We talking about politics here. You talking about trust. You don't trust politicians. You control them. You don't trust them. That's what the MAGA base is showing Trump right now. Hey, dude, we don't trust you. Trump is like, take my word for it. Just trust me. They're like, nah, bro. No. Y'all don't sit up here and go into politics talking about this. Oh, do I love him? Do I like him? I don't have to like him. I don't have to love him. I ain't got to nothing. I got females for that. I don't need Marjorie Taylor Greene for that. I need her to do what the hell she's told. And that's what you support people for. But it's not about that right there. It's about, okay, you don't have to people, let me explain something to you. For those of you who are saying, well, Jason, I'm not sure it makes sense. I've explained this to you before, but let me go ahead and explain this to you one more time. People, every one of you goes into a Walmart. Every one of you goes into a Target. Every one of you goes into a department store. They got cameras everywhere. Those of you who've been to a casino, they got cameras everywhere. But do you know where they have the most cameras? They have the most cameras over their own employees. What? Okay, so you work for the casino and you're employed by the casino and you get paid by the casino, and yet the casino doesn't trust you? See, if the casino trusted you, why do they have a camera over your table? If you're a blackjack dealer, if the casino trusts, Well, I'm your employee. You should trust me. They got cameras where the chips are. They got cameras where you get the money out. Okay, so they don't trust you. Yeah, you work for us. We pay you. We pay your health insurance. We don't trust you. We employ you. We don't trust you. We employ you. You are an employee, not a trustee. Did y'all get that? When you go to work for them, you are an employee, not a trustee. So for those of you who didn't hear this explanation for all the years I've been giving it, I'm just giving it to you here one more time. It's like, yeah, when you're politicians, we don't trust nobody. That's now you're talking about love. No. Well, Jason, what do? You control politicians. You don't trust them. Because name for me anybody that you think you, quote, could trust. Okay, you can't treat them any different. That's the problem with saying that. Even if you showed me somebody that you claim you could trust in that position, you don't trust nobody. I don't give a damn who it is. You don't trust anyone. When it comes to power, you don't leave that up to trust. What do I got on them? What is my leverage? What is my control over them? Damn, trust. What do I control that keeps them in line? If you don't have that, you don't have anything. If you don't have something that they need, that you have the ability to remove, then you don't have anything. Forget trust. Trust your mama. Trust your kinfolk if you can. You don't trust a politician. A politician is your employee. Let me say again, a politician is your employee. You do not trust that person, ever. You have to monitor them. You have to watch them. You got to keep an eye on them. They're up to all kinds of mischief. You watch them. You are the owner of the casino. The politician is your blackjack dealer. They're the person in the cage. You don't trust them. You don't let them have a conversation with you about trusting them. You are here to make sure your employee does your bidding and don't try to pull a fast one. That's the relationship you have to them. Y'all go to your job on Monday and go talk to them about trusting you. See how far you get. Go to Walmart to the checkout lane and strike up a conversation about trust. See how far you get. Go to the casino, go to the mall, and go to the bank and go try to strike up a conversation about why they should trust you. And let me know how far you get. I predict you will not get far. Go to the bank and tell them they can turn off all those cameras because they can trust you.
Nigga, what?
If you believe that trust is real, go to the bank and tell them, wait a minute, you keep the cameras on for everybody else, but when I show up, you don't need all those cameras for me. You can trust me. I've come here for years. You can trust me. No, you do not trust a politician. You control politicians. You don't trust them. And the other thing is you have to also seize upon when you got something to offer. For anybody who wants to get elected in Georgia, we're supposed to have something to offer them. They're supposed to be coming to us the right way. The real thing is, okay, if you actually showed up the right way, you might be able to get that. Hey, Marjorie, if you come to us with some act right, you might be able to get that. We might got something for you. If you come to us the right way, if you come correct, you might be able to get a little something. It depends on how it goes. Now, if you show up on some bull jive, we ain't got nothing for you but discomfort. But you come to us the right way. I'm not going to rule that out. I'm not going to rule that out at all. If she shows up talking right, we might be able to make something happen. If she doesn't want to do that, okay, Marjorie, you're on your own. And that's not feeling real good right now. Being by yourself out there, stuck out there like a sore thumb, that's not going to go very well. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone who's contributed for tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to Glennis. Thank you very much. Shout out to Rhonda, by the way. Hello, Rhonda. Thank you for not holding a grudge. We appreciate that. And thank you to all of you for tuning in tonight's program. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Thanksgiving is coming up, so you all know what we do. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.